Greetings, class. Your first assignment is a narration essay, or a narrative, as we like to call it. So, your guidelines are here. There are a couple things you're required to do for these assignments. Your first part is your essay must be between 500 to 700 words. Not only that, it must be on a personal narrative. You may be asking, what is a narrative? A narrative is a story. Just like the movies that we watch, certain pictures that we see, all of those are narratives. They tell a story. That is exactly what you're expected to do. But you're expected to tell a story based on one of the topics below. I will discuss those topics with you in just a moment. Your guidelines for this. It says that it must be in first person or in third person, depending on your essay topic. First person simply means using the word I. Okay? I, we, anything that includes you along with someone else. That is first person. Third person is when you think about stories like the Three Little Pigs. It starts off, three little pigs, they built a house. One was made of straw, one was made of hay, etc. There's no mention of the narrator within the story. That means it is third person. So you get to decide if you want to put yourself within the story or you want to tell a story as if you are looking down on it and seeing what's happening. So think about that as you are deciding to create this narrative. Okay? As I said, it must be 500 to 700 words in length. That's not too much. If it is double spaced like it is required to be, that simply means it is about 2 full pages. And for 700 words, that means it is about almost 3 pages. So every 250 words, approximately, depending on how big your words are about a full page. Okay. Of course, it tells you the different types of documents you can turn in. Both of these are Word documents. This one, if you have this, you can turn it in that way, and it also has PDF. I prefer you not to turn in PDF as possible, but if that's the only way, that is fine. It's easier for me to make notes on other things like Word docs, but if you must turn in PDF, I completely understand. Here are the steps that you are supposed to steer through your writing process for your narrative essay. The first thing it asks you to do is read through the material in Module 2, which is all the things that come before this assignment. It asks you to choose one of the topics below. And I'm going to talk about those topics. I'm going to give you some ideas on how to free write and then how to complete some pre-writing activities. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to show you how to create a thesis. I'm going to show you how to write a special thesis that I like to call a golden thesis in particular. But the special thing about your personal narrative is that it can have what's called an implied thesis. And if you watched the previous video, then you have heard about what an implied thesis is, but I will reiterate it so that you can have something for your discussion boards. Okay, I'll also talk about different ways you can organize this one. It's really fun. We have a couple different ways we can do a narrative. We can start at the beginning of your life, chronological order, you know, from 3 years old to 5 years old to 7, or we can do what's called pivotal point. Have you ever saw those movies that kind of start at the end and then it goes in a circle to back around to show you how they got to that point? We can do it that way. We can do spatial, where it's kind of looking around at something in that situation. We can do it that way. So we can do a couple of different things to help you get to where you need to be. Within your module, I have set some soft deadlines, but your ultimate deadline will be October the 1st. All right, it's asking you to write your draft. Now, I want you to not stress about this draft. If you have grammatical errors if you have issues within this draft, I just want you to write. The whole goal of drafts is for you to write. I don't want you to be concerned about that in any way. As I said in the previous videos about drafts, we tend to get hung up on grammar, sentence structure, all of that. That is not what we're focused on right now. It is simply getting your story onto the paper. Okay? After a while, we'll get to the revising, and then we'll type it up, and of course, we'll submit it. So we'll do all of that. And as I said, each thing kind of has a soft deadline with a hard deadline set for October the 1st. Let's look at your topic choices. Your topic choices include, for the first one, it says, looking back at some point in the far future on your own life as you hope others will see it, write a personal narrative in form of obituary. Write it in third person. Okay. Suggestion: consider organizing around points in your life such as your youth, your middle age, and old age by the roles you perform, such as daughter, wife, mother. And please also consider your career, the things you've done for your community. If there are certain organizations that you are a part of or you plan to be a part of, you can also include those. Your second option is to write a letter to your great-grandchild, narrating at a time in your life you realize the importance of education. Okay, this one is first person, so you can tell them I by telling them your story. Okay, with the first one, it says third person as if the newspaper is writing it and telling what's going on with your life. So keep that one in mind. Then you have a third option. It says choose 3 books you have read that have the most influence on your life at important stages in your life. Then write your literary autobiography, tracing your personal development through these books. With this one, you can think about books you have read as a child. You can think about books you are currently reading. And it doesn't necessarily have to be books. It can be stories. If you have read 38 People Who Saw Murder as asked, of course, you can include that. So don't limit yourself. If there are certain things that you are currently reading, such as comic books or things that you're reading on social media, you can consider all of those things. And I added a fourth one just to make it a little bit more flexible and a little bit easier for you. You can write a narrative on a topic of your choice on the use of your literacy within your life. And so the cool thing about literacy is that there are all types of literacy. Learning how to use pause is definitely a literacy. Different courses have their things set up different ways. So basically, things that you have to learn that don't come naturally, such as learning how to read and write, how to speak. If you are bilingual, then you have had probably some challenges with your literacy. If you have a speech impediment, then you have probably suffered through certain things. If you have any learning disorders, of course, that is definitely part of your literacy. Some people don't realize how dyslexia affects people, but other things that are not necessarily struggles can also be included in this literacy. If you have had to take a state test, you can definitely consider that. If you have ever been corrected about your grammar and been very self-conscious of that, or had teachers to constantly grade you with these red pens telling you that things are terrible or telling you things, you're not worth, your stuff is not worth reading, all of that is definitely part of your literacy. And you can talk about how that has shaped you for better or for worse. And guess what? You can actually include Zoom and Teams. You can include pause in this, how it has affected your ability to learn outside of a classroom, well, an in-person classroom. So I want you to consider all of those things as you are starting to write.